Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester Chats with writer and comic book legend DG Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is DG Chichester, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
All right, kids. Welcome back to another month of the Chichester Chats. This is a big one. I'm kind of bittersweet about this. You know, we finally got part of Black Armor, yay! But it's the last part of Black Armor. Won't be.
It is
next month.
No issue 5. Not anymore. Those days went away a long time ago.
All right, so yes, it's me, it's Lilith, and you know those sweet tones of the Mr. DG Chichester.
Hey guys, I love listening to the opening now because I sound like I'm this over caffeinated, like sort of just, you know. But it's all good. It's all fine. How have you been? Everybody's been good?
Yeah.
Good.
So, how have you been doing? You had a signing on. That's why we didn't do our usual Saturday, because you had a signing, correct?
I did. It was nice, nice folks. It was a little bit too long of a drive in the snowy wetness to sort of make it work. I mean, I don't feel that they. I don't think that they kind of maximize, not that I'm like a maximal draw, but I don't think they maximized the event. I think they had about a dozen people. It was a 3-hour drive. They had about a dozen people, probably, maybe a little more.
If you're ever willing to fly to Florida, I'll hook you up with my guy. He's opening up a new store pretty soon. So.
See? Then tell him, we'll make it work for the trade. But
he'll do anything for Lilith, and for the amount of money she drops,
there you go.
I'm funding the new store.
But yeah, I mean the best part was I looped back down. My son's in Boston, so I looped back down through Boston and saw him. So it was ultimately in the plus category for that reason. He showed me off his amazing Dune Lego set that he had gotten, that he built the ornithopter, so it's just incredible. And he was demonstrating every feature and every lift and wingspan, and there were sound effects and everything. So it was pretty incredible. So
should we tell him, sir, you are a trendsetter, because yes, I got a drone for Christmas, and now this one is thinking about getting a drone.
Really? Oh wow. Okay, so everybody's gonna fly and crash. Nice. Okay, what kind did you get, Phil? What did you go for? What did you
well, mine was a gift. What was it? Where I got it. I've only flown it a few times. Now I'm afraid to fly because they say don't get it wet, and it's been kind of wet out. So
I don't take it in the rain.
I got to get back to it, but
it's fun.
Yeah, what is it? Something stone. Trying to look this up now. I don't know why I'm gonna find it, because my wife got it for me, but
it was a gift and it works.
It works. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Then that's all that matters. That's all that matters. That's cool. Yeah, it's a fun thing to do. It's like
I've got my eye on a DJI.
Yeah,
I use their cameras and stuff like that too. So why not?
Yep. Yeah. No, it's quality. I mean, I have that one. I have the an older one of those, and it's a lot of fun, and it's the software is decent, and I'm sure it's sending everything back to China or whatever, tell you where I am. But they have a pretty good if you do go that way, Lilith, definitely spend the extra. I think it's like $40 and maybe it's $50. They have like an insurance thing. Yeah. And it's anything happens, it's like if it flies away, if you crash it in the water, you get a replacement. I think you get up to 2 replacements within a year or maybe a year and a half for $40 each or something like that. So it's not like you immediately get it, but if it if it just keeps going and you're never going to see it again, or
have you had to use it yet?
I did use it once. Yeah. I crashed that sucker, and I was right under the insurance thing, and it was like $40, and they said, "Well, do you want a refurb one or do you want a new one?" And I was like, "I'll take the new one," and they shipped it right out. So it was
speaking of
it was
things
cool.
crashing and burning, but not crashing and
This
burning.
this issue, what really
4.
was this?
Well, it's crashing and burning. It's bumming me out because there's not another one. So Marvel has crashed and burned with me by not giving us a 5 and 6 issue. But yeah, number 4, I love it. I love this cover, but I love both covers actually.
Yeah, they both. Of course, I did not get the variant cover because again was seized out of my hands by my mother. But so we continued the tradition right down to the very end. I think there's only one cover on the trade, so she'll have to be satisfied with that. But good. When you went for the crash and burn, I thought you were kind of going somewhere else. So
no.
Nice pivot.
It's the system crash, not crash and burn.
Yeah, see.
It's so Phil is absolutely right. It's so bittersweet.
The deep
everybody's
cuts.
kind of like eager for everybody's like, oh yeah, this brought me back down nostalgia lane, like the 90s, and everybody that I saw reviewing it, those were their sentiments. So it was really great to see. Oh, and I want to tell you, thank you for recommending that book. I talked to the author.
Yeah, you guys
she
interviewed her.
I know she was Swedish. She was so awesome.
Yeah, she's I have not watched your interview with her yet, but I saw that you guys did that, and
well, that's all Lilith, because I actually had to work for one. So
okay. Well, I'm glad that made a good connection, and I'll definitely look forward to listening to that. I think the book's great, even if I do take more than a few hits.
She said you used to comment on her blogs and stuff too, back in the day when she first started. She said it meant the world to her. So
Yeah. She was
you were a super good sport.
No, it was like she was right, and it's like
kids, get it on Amazon.
Get it on Amazon. It's a great book if you like thinking about it a little bit more. No, she was.
I got both the Kindle and the physical. I couldn't wait on the physical, so.
Yeah. I think she actually was nice enough to send me a copy of the book before it just came out. It came out or just before it came out, and but no, I remember like coming across the blog, probably like one of those like dark nights where you're like, searching your name, hoping like somebody says something nice about you, and like you see like one line that sounds nice, and then I arrived there, and the rest of it was like, now let's pick them apart. But it was all good picking apart. It was sort of like, yeah, okay, I'll own that, I'll buy that. So I don't mind that stuff. It's the things that are, just ridiculous, which most of the time rolls off my shoulders. I have a friend, actually Carl Waller, the guy who, worked on the Axel's Infernal stuff with, and he was getting all hyped up and saying, "Oh, when we do the next one, you should really like play off Black Armor. Everybody seems to really like it." And he sent me some link to like a Reddit, maelstrom of like hate. In his mind, it was like, "Oh, look, there's great reviews," and there was like 2 nice reviews, and then the rest of them were your typical Reddit, funnel.
Yeah, Reddit's a hellscape.
Gateway to hellscape. Yeah, and it was just, and I said, "Carl, what are you reading?" Like I just kept doing selections and posting them back to him. Like, is this the one that's supposed to make me feel good? I mean, it didn't bother me, but
Reddit's not supposed to make anybody feel good.
No. That's Reddit is Swedish for hellscape. So anyway, so I'm curious, like, what is it about the book in your mind that creates that nostalgia vibe, that 90s vibe? Because definitely that's where we were placing it in that zone, and obviously the costume is from that zone, but what is it that kind of creates that? What makes it feel that way in your estimation, that defines it as call it a 90s feel story or a nostalgia sort of story?
I think it's just the attitude, like Matt's attitude, because like I was just thinking, it's been a long time since he's been like that. You even commented on social media, just like when he does the little smirk, and he's just like, and I shouldn't be enjoying myself, but I am enjoying myself. Yeah.
I definitely say villain and dialogue for me would be the thing.
Yeah. They don't let him have as much fun these days, or
no. Self-flagellation is like, well, up until very recently was pretty much the rule of thumb. So.
Yeah, because I just saw the I think I said, I wasn't reading the runs or the surrounding stuff just on purpose. I didn't want to get influenced by what was going on. But I saw some pages. I want to catch up on what's going on, but I saw some pages from the She-Hulk issue, and that looked like, I don't know what was going on, but it looked like he was having fun. I don't know.
Well, everybody has fun in She-Hulk, in modern She-Hulk, anyways.
Okay, yeah, because he was like hanging around with her eating ramen or something. I don't know what was going on, but he looked like he was enjoying his day, and not maybe he went home and flagellated himself with the ramen. I don't know it, but yeah, exactly. Thank you. I was waiting for my first rim shot of the evening. No, that's good, because it's sometimes it's I remember reading something or I did read something where it was talking about the 90s violence or something like that, but I just, in my mind, it's sort of like it's the way I always wrote it, which I guess I did write it in the 90s, but it didn't feel any different but maybe it's just because I'm stuck in that zone. So who knows? maybe I can't write a modern day comic book. I don't know.
I mean, there are some modern runs where it's like you'll get like 20 pages of dialogue and 2 pages of action. I don't know if that's what people, like some of the newer fans, are reacting to, but I'm just like,
maybe.
I don't know. Sometimes that bores me. I'm just like, if you're coming across bad people, violence may be necessary. Like, thank you once again. We got more.
Oh my God! Did
Yeah.
Netho like just go to town on that? Did he just? I mean, the page before it too, the splash, and then that he just really just, and that's the first. That's been the first 4 pages of the book. The guy was a beast. I just cannot compliment him enough. He just really just hit every mark, pulled every ripcord. He just really went incredible work.
Just all that, and all the villains. I mean, you worked the Mole Man in there. I mean,
I was just about to say,
I know, but
Charlie would love that Mole Man.
But isn't that, I don't, I never pat myself on the back. I love setting that up. I knew what there was going, like right from the second issue, just setting it up, waiting for the 4th issue to like have him hit the bars and just bring the Moloids back around. It's just that idea of never show the gun unless you're going to fire it in the latter issues. Somebody was actually commenting, what a disappointment. He barely just talked to the Mole Man and then he's gone. What a wasted opportunity. It's like, all right, just wait.
Issue plus an assist from Iron Man? Like, what?
I know. Len Kaminsky's Iron Man. Len just kind of gave me a shout out and said thanks for bringing in his guy, because it's that era. But yeah,
that was a welcome surprise. I like that a lot.
It was fun, and I think Netho just, I mean, we both enjoyed it, but I think he just felt like he was getting to do so many firsts for himself, things that he'd wanted to do for a while, and I think that shows on the page. Like, he got to do Spider-Man, he got to do Iron Man, he got to do I don't know if he'd done Sabretooth and Hobgoblin before, but there was just so many great moments he was able to bring forward throughout the whole series.
But I mean, yeah, again, they all have, but this one really hit me as like, this is back in the 90s, page 7. I think it's page 7. The legal term, he says. I'm like, oh, yeah, I told you, I learned pro bono for the term from you. So I'm just like, yeah, there's a new term, and the whole one where it's just like, oh, it might just probably be easier to call it the Murdoch protocol.
Well, I called up my sister-in-law, who's a lawyer, and I said, isn't there some like legal term for, just an idiot in court who just, disrupts everything and just, the sort of the, I don't know, the person just, she's like, no, not really. So I had to make it up, but it fit well.
Well, it doesn't say Alexa the Trump.
No, there you go. I wouldn't put poor Matt in that in that category. It's more when he's at his best / worst, he's more of a very savvy Saul Goodman, I think, in terms of
yes. I love all
Just
the fun
keeping
little
everyone.
details. I think that's also something very reminiscent of the 90s that they don't really do too much. It's either like fan service or like obvious Easter egg is obvious Easter egg, but you actually
Hmm.
kind of put detail into your writing, which
Like,
is
give
like
me an
something modern
example,
writing
Lilith.
miss.
Like what's the
Just
like what's
like
an
Phil said, like the little scripts, the little boxes, or like the like.
Oh, good.
I feel like also like why you decided to use black armor. I felt like it was to give Matt a little bit of a confidence boost after coming out of what he came out of too, and I think a lot of people don't maybe read it that way either. Things
How do
like
you
that.
mean? You mean the suit, or calling it
Yeah, the
black
suit.
armor, or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, that was certainly. I mean, even in Fall from Grace, that's it was supposed to give him the edge. But for me, start having started it from a place of laughing at Devin, the editor, when he first, said we want you to do a story with the black armor or with the armor, where I was just in disbelief and not thinking through. Like, no one's going to like this. There's a mockery. I was mocked for it, back then. And then not seeing, and then just wondering, is it just a suit? But it really kind of became this sort of like thematic thing for me anyway, that I think played out very nicely at the end. Um, and became a little bit more without it becoming this heavy-handed
Overbearing.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't become like I didn't have I had this like temptation, but I have no time to do it, to almost like rewrite like a page or rewrite like an issue as if I was doing it 25 years ago, and just imagining like the overbearing like captions and the hitting you over the head with like the
Again, like
the
I said, you've
subtext.
matured in the
But
best way, and I think this was the perfect time for you to make a resurgence because of all, like I said, all the lessons that you've learned literally put you here. And I honestly
yeah,
haven't heard any bad reviews, and I just love seeing that evolution of you. I really do. And
thank
this
you,
last
thank you.
page just sums it up for me.
Hey, I
Oh,
was
don't
really
do it like that,
pleased with it.
Charlie.
What are you doing?
Copies. I'm
You took it out of
sorry.
the
Oh, that's right.
This is
slab
the
and you
reading
fold.
Oh, that's
copy.
right. You bought like 20 copies. Okay.
You took
Yeah,
it
this
out
is
of
the
the
reading
slab
copy.
and you bent it.
It's like
Um,
I have to have a reading copy, so don't worry. The variant is
that's
you can
all right. I
also
heard
say
it. That's all right. I heard his mom is having 2-for-1 sale on signed copies.
exactly. Yes. Yes. She'll be out front. I had to get her like bags and boards because she was putting them like in this little she had like a little, almost like a plate stand, like on the wall, and she was like slotting them in there, like to show off to her friends as like they came by. And of course, the floppies were all like, like
oh
folding
no.
over and bending. So she's like, I need something to kind of, what do you want? Do you want me to get you like a frame to hang on a wall? So I'm going to bring her these bags and boards so they can all be like stiff and together and whatever. But it's funny. How many things sort of like thread it through from that initial outline, there's still probably 75% of the spine of the story is there, including that last line, which is really weird to me, like how much came to me in that first day, and maintained itself throughout this, like this plot beats, not there was never anything about the father, there was never the gym scenes, those all came later. But the whole sense of what the armor sort of meant, like that last line, that is my armor, like that was, something that just sat there, waiting for me to kind of catch up to it, which was nice. It was like a nice feeling to kind of have that, to find a way to get to that.
And again, was it every issue? You're like, yeah, someone has to jab at that armor because Iron Man's like, yeah, that's your
Oh yeah.
armor.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was me.
We don't
That was
all
me.
have a budget, Tony.
Just that weary, like, that was me, being there, the weariness. I never called it that. Every interview over the years are like, well, what about the armor? I never called it that. So
Yeah, that was just bad timing because everyone was getting armor in the 90s. So it's just they thought, oh, it's armor.
But it's interesting, like, Netho's version of it is so much more aggressive than, say, Scott's ever was. Yet again, Netho makes it look right. It never looks heavy. It never looks he created a real a fluidity to it while it's still being very formidable and assertive, all the way through. I'm just disappointed that we kept talking about this because he added those spikes, on the arm.
Oh yeah.
And we kept talking about like it was never going to be an aggressive thing. He wasn't going to stab somebody with them. That would be out of character totally. But we kept saying, oh, we can use them to deflect something, or we can use it as like a pivot point. Like, he's jumping and he stabs it into a wall and sort of pivots it around it or something like that. But we never defined it for sure. And then, by the time it was done, it was like, what happened to that scene? Well, we never got to it, So they just sort of stand there. Yeah, next time they stand there waiting for somebody to figure out something to do with them.
So was that just Netho picking up on that, like consciously or not, just making it a little more aggressive, because it wasn't that the whole point where like Matt was acting a little more aggressive, trying to pretend, oh, I'm a different Daredevil, and
yeah, that was definitely there were moments of that, within the story. Like the first time he shows up, or one of the first times he shows up in Tree of Knowledge, I think, he's holding a gun on somebody.
Yeah.
He takes a gun away from a punk or whatever, and he
Adam,
holds the gun so that I'm not the old Daredevil. And some people picked up on that so well. I met a guy in, I think it was Austin, who he had read everything. He knew the stuff better than I did, far. And he, every bit of subtext, every bit of piece like that, he could quote chapter and verse. And that was really important to him. He was really affected by that sort of aspect of the Jack Batlin persona and what he was doing with it. Like, he understood it all. So there was some of that, I think. I think Netho was also just going for adding a little bit more flair, making it look a little bit more cool. It wasn't in the plot anywhere. It wasn't like redesign the armor and add an element. He just did that, and which I think is great. It sort of felt like then, okay, when Melvin did the rebuild, he added a little bit more oomph to it, which is cool, which is really, really great. And it felt, again, that Netho had made it his own, which I feel he very much did in the right way.
I mean, and again, the stuff from your run, like, with the combining of the billy clubs and stuff into a staff, because I don't think they even do that anymore either. But that's from your run.
Yeah, I don't. Well, maybe they just go back to the.
It's a cane.
I mean, it's a cane, or it's
remember if the last time they did that even.
The clicking of the staff, and I guess they don't do it, right? The billy clubs then just become like a sort of a throw device. They do that now with the Zdarsky run, right? They had the little hip pad and that kind of thing, and it was all, in the costume there. But I guess they didn't do the snap together stuff. But that's those scissors. There was those magic, those magic scissors in that bedroom where they chopped everything up. You can't really recover from that.
Gotta give me some of those for crafting.
I was waiting for that. That's why I was waiting for this issue to end and be like, oh, I got a headache. Wait a minute. What am I wearing?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it leads directly into it. Wouldn't that have been great? What am I thinking?
No, I'm so glad. No, not.
Just open.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. Yeah, no. That's what we said.
I wanted to leave. I definitely was like, I'm just going to manifest it. I'm sensing a 2, maybe 2026.
A 2 for
a sequel to this.
For this? I mean, I would.
We'll manifest it. Don't worry about it.
Let's manifest it. Let's work on it.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be black armor. Just do Daredevil. Yeah.
But I like. I'll be honest with you. I like. I mean, as I said to CB Sobolski when he offered me this in the first place, or said, would I be interested in something? I'm nobody's fool. I'll consider a lot of things, maybe not another, American Tale, Fievel Goes, wherever, but although I did enjoy that, but I like this version, of Daredevil a lot. I guess it's my version of Daredevil, right? More than anybody else's right now. I think we talked about this a little bit before, and there's this somebody just tried to pin me down again today. Well, where does this take place? Exactly between what issues does this story
It's
take
Marvel's
place?
sliding time scale, just vaguely the 90s.
But even
okay?
so, is it between Tree of Knowledge and this one, or is it between this 327 and 328? And it's like, it doesn't matter, and who cares? It's sort of, I just get back to this idea, and Marvel bought into it and seemed to kind of run with it, or at least this office did, of just that what if there were more stories? And that's kind of interesting. So how many more stories could there be with a Daredevil? This Daredevil meeting other characters. We could do like we talked about before. You could do a Spider-Man Daredevil like series, not just a 3-page, 4-page, meet cute sort of thing. What happens if they do something more? What happens when this Daredevil meets the Punisher? That Punisher, the Frank Castle Punisher, right? The Beast, before he became whatever he is now, the Star God or something wherever. But that would be fun. There's all sorts of things that you could probably play out in one way or another. But there is no, and I'm not being coy, there is no, there is no number 2 or anything in the works. And I'm actually going to talk to them this week as just kind of like a reconnect, to sort of say, hey, what's going on? And is there anything more, or let me make some changes to the trade, because I want to, there were a couple of captions that they had rewritten. I guess there was a disconnect between like some stuff I had sent in, and they needed to kind of get the fixes done. So I'm not really happy about the language there. It's not bad, but I want to tweak it a little bit. So they're going to send me the PDFs, and I'm going to mark them up, and we'll fix them up for the trade. But so we'll see.
You know what? The whole thing with where does this take place? I mean, not that you ever want to be sarcastic, but tell them it takes place between Amazing Spider-Man 396 and Spectacular Spider-Man 219, because that's where they where DeMatteis used them, and that's in his Spider-Man run. So just tell me, between these 2 Spider-Man issues, just throw them for a loop.
Exactly. Yeah. Play like a play like a Harlan Ellison, sort of thing. Where to get your ideas? It's like there's a little store on 38th and like in 2nd. It's not open every day, but you got to look for it.
Oh, you could come up with a great story. Be like, I sit in a dark room, I sip a certain kind of tea, I hear a voice in my head. It says, listen up, dummy, get a pencil. Yeah, and I just write it down what it says.
Yeah, it's not too far off, actually. You do need to listen. You do need to listen for the ideas and be ready to kind of write them down. Well, I mean, you guys were obviously happy with how it turned out. You feel like the whole thing kind of, connects together and makes its points and makes the story, work. What would you want to see happen after this with these, with this? What would you want to see as a kind of a thing to explore in this era that would be part of something that hadn't been explored before?
I mean, in your original run and here, this kind of keeps going here, so it's like you never got to give us the final word on the supporting cast. You bring in like Randy and them, you could.
Mm-hmm. Although Randy got a lot more, alive than I ever. She also wasn't, in the. I think she was mentioned at the beginning of the proposal. Like I said, I guess I could use characters like this and this, but I never thought her through initially. Initially, this thing just you guys will get a chuckle out of this, maybe. Initially this whole thing was like on a giant Spy Who Loved Me, like sort of like evil oil derrick, like out at sea. Like the whole like kidnapping thing was all dragging them to some uh, fight zone, like far off offshore, and everyone was being thrown into cargo containers and shipped out on boats, and then there was going to be underwater scene, and everything was going to get blown up, and they'd have to escape that way. And Devin's the one who said, "Yeah, why don't you just bring that back to Hell's Kitchen?" Let's just make it work there. And I was like, oh, okay, that's probably a lot simpler. And and this time I listened. I didn't say no, it must be overcomplicated, and it must be this.
I'd love to see your take on Daredevil and Black Widow. Take it back to a little bit more of a class. Like I feel like that's what I'd like to see your take on it. Maybe a little bit of Nick Fury in there too.
That would be actually that would be fun characters to bring in. Now okay, that would be fun, because everything with him is now new, unless he reveals himself to be Matt Murdock, or a Nick Fury would figure it out, or a vengeful
give him the wink.
No, have Black Widow figure it out, and then he's like trying to pretend to be someone else, and she's like, "Matt, stop! I know it's you."
Yeah, or she just grabs him and kisses him and knows immediately like who it is. That would be fun if I do that scene. That's what I'll do. But those would be fun, fun things to kind of play out. But like I was saying before, Randy was never in the mix, but I like how she came to life. The other ones didn't get as much. They just got their little scene at the beginning, and that's all I think that they ever were going to be. But she was sort of intended to be a little bit more. So it's nice that she kind of became that. And even that tease I felt that I put out, that he's about to tell her who he is and what he is, as they're kind of walking away. Not
That's like a real bad habit with Matt when he tells somebody.
Not in my zone, but but it would be I guess that could happen.
I mean,
stay away from the refrigerators and open windows and stuff in comics, I guess.
I mean, you've talked about what you would have done, if you run the original one and continued up to 350. I'd love to see that in print. Let them print that up. I mean, they've done stuff like that before.
But the thing with that is now, Phil, I think I accelerated that so much and in such a better way now. Like the whole street legal thing became the realization that would have extended out over 20 odd issues to kind of get there, and probably would not have been as done as well. And I would have meandered through it, and I made the point, I think, within a handful of pages and over the course of this, that he recognized very quickly how much the lawyer was important, and found a way to kind of achieve that without him suddenly saying, "Oh, I got to say I'm Matt Murdock again." Like the whole street legal thing was a lot of fun for me. And even the character of Juan became a little bit of an interesting way in, and imagining what other things he could do as he sort of kept giving his legal advice without being a lawyer. Now that could still lead back to that, but there's that gray zone, unless at some point Marvel wanted to erase that and we ever got that far down the line. Like they've accomplished Matt coming back by doing, you guys say, nothing, right? He just shows up in court one day and says, "Oh, the witness protection, next, check please." So there's no dovetailing with some grand Clone Saga event. There's just whatever we want to do here, and then he segues into his next range of stories, and I think there's probably just a lot of things here that could be explored if they want to explore them. And if not, that's fine too. Somebody wrote a little mini review, which I thought was really bittersweet in a way, where it was like they just said they really liked the series, and and they, you know, they kind of hoped I'd have a chance to do something else again. But if I didn't, that was perfectly fine. Yeah. This was like a really kind of happy, almost like perfect, like bubble universe, pocket universe of kind of the best of what I could do. And I, you know, I sort of feel that way too. I don't feel like I couldn't tell another story, but on the other hand, I think I brought forward all the things I was best at, you know, in terms of the senses, in terms of the cocksure attitude, in terms of the dialogue, in terms of the right little touches that I, you know, touches I brought through that were my own little touches, you know, little callbacks to, you know, side villains like the snake root, or you know, little you know, alluding to you know, the Kingpin's fall, or bringing back the, you know, these are the facts and they're indisputable type of turn line from Fall from Grace. It sort of like just became, all right, I've taken all these little moments, and they just, you know, they just came to me over time as I was working on this. It would be like a little, I had a little notes file, you know, that just, I just kept adding a line or half a line or a quote or something, and then I would go back to that and I would pull from that and say, okay, that's where this fits. That's where this fits. So it was a very, very serendipitous sort of way of doing things.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much in here because, like, even like at the end when they're like, "Oh, the Avengers, you know, cleaned up," and you know, no
Right.
credit to Daredevil. I'm like, that's so from Tree of Knowledge, you know, when they're like, "Oh, they showed up and cleaned up everything." Yeah, no credit to Daredevil.
Yeah, Greg Wright, my friend Greg Wright, you know, who's always been such a great creative, like, kick in the head, you know, he'll like tell me when stuff sucks, and you know, he gave an early read to this, not in this form, like in an earlier plot form, and gave me some good changes. But he said that he was disappointed that, you know, there wasn't, like, you know, Daredevil doing like a real final comeuppance with Strucker, right? You know, like kind of.
Well, or does that mean this takes place before Tree of Knowledge then?
Maybe, but could be. I'll never try to figure it out. But on the other hand, it's sort of like that. To me, it was like his priority was the people, right?
Yes.
Daredevil's priority was getting the people out. And how could you top what Netho did with that punch anyway? You know, having another fight after that and that wallop, there was no way to top that. It would just been more of the same. And that's why I even felt the quality of the danger in this last issue, you know, just having him having to, in the enclosed space, having to figure out, all right, how do we get out of here? You know, how do I use my senses for us to get out of here, as opposed to just, you know, cracking it open or being more physical types of things. But I think the priority of him being on the people, I'm done with that. Like, let them take care of it. You know, there's gigantic forces that take care of this stuff. I don't have to be in the middle of everything.
True.
Oh yeah, that was funny. The whole look for some kind of lever or switch or a class that says emergency start.
Giant button that says this. Yeah, it's like, you know. I guess it was an amusing, you know, sort of thing, but
yeah, no, I mean this was wrapped up so good because, like if you did come back to Daredevil, I wouldn't even mind. I think I said it last time. You know, maybe like, you know, the next day after Fall of the Kingpin, what happens now?
Right. Yeah, that's not treated. Yeah, there is more. That is a kind of a pocket universe too. It's like there's a much deeper, interesting kind of dig into. I don't know if did they ever do this? Did they ever play out like Fisk rising back up, or was that just sort of treated like suddenly he's the Kingpin again?
I mean, I think it played out slowly, but yeah, at some point, I think he was basically just back on top. I mean, wasn't he? He did so many things. He was like, wasn't he in charge of the Hand for a while?
Yeah, he tried a lot. He was really trying to find. He was out there finding himself.
Well, that's actually kind of cool then. If he was like, you know, I'm going to try a lot of things. I'm going to run the Hand for a while, and then I'm going to have a multi-level marketing scheme, and then I'm going to just.
I mean, truly the most evil thing you can do, right?
Yes, exactly. See, there you go. I'm going to sell some leggings, and but big leggings.
And all these housewives will be my minions.
Exactly. But if they've done that sort of stuff, then that's cool. I'm glad that to hear that they played that out some, even if it wasn't in a very concerted sort of way.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember random stuff like he showed up here. He showed up in X-Men for a story or two, which was kind of weird. But yeah, he shows up all kinds of places, and again, it's not like 2 seconds and he's back, but it's like I think
right.
Oh, hey, he's back.
Right.
But,
ultimately, right. It was somewhat. He's bouncing around. It wasn't totally coordinated. Nobody made a real plan, but at some point somebody said, I want the Kingpin to be a major villain again. All right, done. But at least they gave him a little bit of a play out there.
Well, I would assume if not before, they probably had him back by that Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, because Kingpin wasn't it.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I did not track it well enough. I remember asking Tom Brevoort at one point. I don't know. I'd sent him something that they were going to do. Somebody said they were going to do a sequel to Fall the Kingpin or something like that, and I was something along those lines, and I was trying to find out a little bit about it. Saying, okay, what's up with this? Or what does this mean? And Tom being the total protectionary professional just said, well, I can't talk about anything like that, but I'm not but I can tell you right now he's the mayor of New York, and that was the first time I knew he was sort of like the mayor, but that was my whole body of knowledge of where he was at any given time.
I mean, yeah, I think there is enough wiggle room there. It's not that specific. I mean, that there's a mini series. You write and show us how the Kingpin built himself back up.
Yeah, there could be something to that. There's there's a Daredevil Kingpin team up here somewhere. I don't know.
Oh.
That would definitely send the signal to the city that this was a different type of Daredevil.
That's what I thought we were going to get in issue 1. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
But there wasn't, some things I steered clear of at the beginning. I don't think there wasn't a Kingpin scene initially. I don't think I had any reference to that. And I think that, Devin, I know, was the one who sort of suggested, have a, see if you can work a Kingpin scene in there. So it was nice. It was nice flavor, right? It wasn't, the story would not have collapsed without that scene, but on the other hand, it felt like the natural kind of progression. Who's he going to start with? He's going to start with the person he thinks is behind everything, and then that's going to lead to more, more outrageous, bonkers things, as some people said, in a good way. Good type of bonkers. But
and since now we're at the end, is there since it went from 5 issues to 4, is there anything that we didn't get we were originally going to get in the final part?
No, I like the pacing of the 5-issue one a lot, because it allowed me to it just felt like it breathed more a little bit. The first issue, somebody had said it was nice because it had a little room to breathe, which it did, because it was 30 pages. And I think that was probably the difference. There was just some scenes that had a chance to kind of breathe a little bit more. The initial or one of the following, wand scenes was probably 2 pages instead of 1 page, and that type of thing. So it was just a little bit more of a relaxed pace, and you got to sort of spend a little bit more time absorbing those types of moments. So ultimately, I feel the pacing works really well. I don't think it's neither too slow nor too rushed. It feels like it's just about right, especially since people have reacted, well to it. There's no sitting around doing nothing. I mean, if anything, I remember scripting the third one and just feeling exhausted, even though I knew so much of the dialogue already was in the plot. I mean, actually, that one was fairly easy to script because I had written so much into it. The fourth one was the hardest because I had put probably the least amount of dialogue in the plot for whatever reason. But I mean, 3 was exhausting. I mean, I thought just so much was going on, and it was just felt like how did we possibly pack this much into one issue and still feel like there was character moments and nice bits of business and man without fear type things and Bible verses and all the good stuff there.
But I mean, yeah, 3 was basically Strucker being like, "Here, let me lay out the whole thing for you, and let me justify it for you." Yeah,
right. And then and then everything come tumbling down. That's the one that had to have a little bit too much packed into it. I think the ending of that, again, it works very well now because it's done, but I think Netho and me had to force fit more into those last couple pages of that. I would have liked probably another page or two of Hyde just strutting and raging and being a little bit more of a force to play things out. I think it's really weird that this weird just synergy of like Hyde showing up in like 3 or 4 books now in the course of 3 months. I don't think he's the most popular villain on the planet. I don't believe, but he shows up in the new Punisher, and then he shows up here, and then he shows up in the regular Daredevil book, doesn't he? Like it's all there's no coordination there, and it's very strange that.
Well, that's why I said it's so weird. I guess every so often he'll get like a big resurgence because I guess he is like a popular, big, strong punching bag because it's like he's fought Spider-Man and Daredevil, but also I mean back in the day he was a Thor villain. I mean he basically fought everybody. Captain America.
Right. Maybe that's it too. Maybe he just becomes, maybe those people also writing those books and working on those books are also pulling from their own nostalgia and sort of saying, "Oh yeah, I remember Thor, and he was a lot of fun, and I want to go do it here." Like David Pepose, like grabbing, bringing her into the Punisher, and just wow, and then killing her. It's like, what are you gonna do there now, man? What do you do? You're worse than me. You brought her.
Yes, because characters always stay dead.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, he laughed, on Twitter and like, we'll just resurrect her.
Then you can get another a first appearance out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Keep bringing it back. One thing after another.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. There's a 4-issue mini. Yeah, just Matt encountering her again. Yeah.
Right. Her Surgeon General will line up all the greatest hits.
Okay, that is the one thing. Yeah, this series was missing. Surgeon General.
It did get a mention. It did get a mention. Yes. All the best.
What I really want to see. I want to see Daredevil and Carnage team up.
Yes.
Oh!
They've already got Red. Yeah. They could. It could work out really well.
2 Scarlet swashbucklers,
Was there anything missing from this that you think should have been here, with the exception of Carnage? That or did it?
No, it felt like a complete, well-rounded story for me.
Yeah, no. Like I said, it felt like.
I didn't. You told me it was 5 issues. It was supposed to be 5 issues initially, but I feel like everything was well paced.
Yeah. I didn't have any sense that. Hang on one second.
It's the Balsky on the phone. I'm watching right now. I need to give you
yes, right, real time. Sorry. I don't feel like I don't read it and I don't look at it and say, "Oh, geez, I wish I had that 5th issue back anymore." I don't look at it that way. Once the pacing got reframed, and that was a little bit of a tough pull, just because you know, it wasn't just pulling the scenes, it was, or pulling the pages, and because I don't think we lost any. I don't think we lost any major scenes. You know, it was really just sort of repacing, and then most especially repacing the cliffhangers, right? Because there was the scene where, you know, he's beaten to a pulp. Um, I want to say was the end of one issue, right? That was the cliffhanger. Not that you knew he wasn't going to come back, right? But still, it felt like, you know, it felt great to have that at the end, like he's just totally destroyed. And then that would have been a different type of opening for the next one. I mean, I could go back, I still have it, you know, and find it. If you guys were really interested in slogging through, you know, 120 odd pages of plot, but but you know, I think that's the difference in terms of like some of those keynotes of how it played out in one form or another. But now, because I've been living with this so long and I'm comfortable with this, that's all that's all in the past, and this feels like, okay, this is what it is. This is like the right pacing, this is the right rhythm, this is the right, you know, race to the moments and the finish, and all that good stuff.
So,
Okay, I take it back. I really would have loved to see the underwater scenes now that you mention it.
Oh, it's funny again reading these things, because there's so much unformed, and I came up with it so quickly in the course of that day, and just writing down stuff and then typing it up. You know, it's a lot of like these asides to me or Devin or, you know, Tom, of like, you know, you know, big bad goes here. You know, you know, is it a character like so and so or so and so or so and so? You know, for some of the villains, because I hadn't thought it through that much. I just knew it had to be some heavy hitters or whatever. And so there's a lot of that structural thing, which starts off as very plot driven, but ultimately has to become very, very character driven and about the character, which ultimately I think it did.
and
Is
again,
there a villain that you wanted to use, but like only in like as an afterthought? Like, oh, I wish I would have thought of that villain earlier.
or there wasn't room or time, or
I mean, I would love to. That's the biggest thing, probably losing the pages right there, was the battle scene, the brawl scene, you know, with Deathstrike and, you know, and so forth. They had a little bit more breathing room, right? Like that got truncated down to, you know, panels, and Netho did that amazing, I think he called it, you know, action mess, you know, of like everything dogpiling on Matt all at once. Um, I probably would have liked a little bit more, maybe just space with them. But then on the other hand, I don't know now, because
I don't
this
know,
is like,
Batroc the Leaper. I mean, that guy loves
yeah, you know,
like he's king of the, you know, and then he gets beat down. So I would have loved
that,
to
you
see.
know,
Yeah,
but you know, I don't know. Like it felt like, okay, would it have benefited anything to give them a little bit more time?
I don't
It
think it
probably would have
hurt,
felt.
but it would have been a fun little, just, you know, aside.
Yeah, and again, it's you're sort of like, but now it feels like they had just enough, and
Yeah,
Takagi gets his one moment, which wasn't even so much about the Snake Root character getting the moment. It was more about, I needed somebody to beat on Juan, to put Juan in danger and have Juan become a little bit of our sacrificial, um, you know, figure. Somebody had to get damaged, and somebody had to take the hit and cause Matt to think about certain things, and 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 it works for his, you know, for the character, hopefully, you know, even though he takes this damage. But, and I figured at that point, well, if I'm going to do it, I may as well do it with my character. It's not going to make any difference if that was Lady Deathstrike nailing him versus Takagi. It's just a big brutal figure. So I'll make it my big brutal figure and go on from there.
But I don't want to forget, I'm looking this up. It looks like the trade's coming out May 7th, Tuesday, May 7th. So
I think it's right after Free Comic Book Day.
okay.
So I believe that is that is the timing.
Yeah, the Tuesday after. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I talked to the semi-local shop, and I was gonna, they were maybe going to have me come over for a signing or something like that for that. But we will see if that works for them.
But yeah, let's make sure we mention that in the March and April episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be, if it's advantageous and they set it up right and it's good for them, then they're close by. They're not 3 hours away either. So,
but I mean, just the release of the trade, because
yeah. And I hope that gets some. I'll certainly turn my machinery back on and do a bunch of silly posts and everything to drive some attention around it again. But I'll miss that. I'll miss because I did.
Did you have fun with that?
I did, but that was 120.
I loved all 100. The
yeah, I mean that was 120 days of posts. I set that up like a machine. There was never a day between 30 days out from that first issue until Valentine's Day that there wasn't a Black Armor like tease or Fumetti cartoon or a little action figure with word balloons. And
I was gonna say I did love the Matt and Strucker little behind the scenes. Yeah.
I mean, come on! Like I printed up tiny little Black Armor scripts for them to hold. I had to use little glue dots to have them hold them in their little action figure hands. It was a commitment there. There was a level of
Come on, Sapolsky, you're not going to find anyone more passionate. Come on.
Exactly. I want to see what other writer did that much promotion for their own book.
now we need the 4-issue, Nick Fury, James Bond-esque type adventure. Come on.
So that's right, Daredevil. I'm sure they must have done a what if story, right? Daredevil, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. There had to have been a Daredevil, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. what if story, right? There has to have been. I can't imagine. Or Matt Murdock, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. has to exist somewhere, but I can't imagine.
I don't know. I read too much fanfic, and that might get mixed up in the what if.
That might be all mixed up in the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know, but I had a great time, and it's been a lot of fun talking to you guys about it too. Where it wasn't and I always appreciate you doing the time machine, but it's been a treat to kind of talk about something that's current.
Well, it's not going to stop because we have some other new stuff from you.
Yeah,
next
time. I want to talk some Axel's Infernal. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I've been chomping at the bit.
All right, good. All right, we're set.
Not doing it in a more timely manner, but we had Black Armor to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. No. I'm good for that. That's where we can stay in the current time zone, and we'll be good.
Yeah, that way we don't have to time it for when does it go on sale? Well, we have it.
Right. We have it right now. Here we go. That's our next month. Now we know. I know. Cool. Any last questions, thoughts, points?
Nope, just congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
People have loved it. I haven't really seen a lot of negative stuff. It really brought people back to that nostalgic time because nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. And I think, even some people who didn't have the nostalgia juice, going for them seem to enjoy it, right? They seem to kind of be, they didn't know anything about it. They just picked it up or just a pull list or whatever. And they seem like they just kind of dug it. So
at least at my store, everybody I know has the trade on pull list. So.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, once it's kind of a weird thing, right? Once they announce the trade, it sort of undercuts the regular issues a little bit. It feels to me sort of like, there's a trade coming out. So, well, I'll just wait for that. But okay, then why not just do the whole thing as a trade?
If they could, they would. I think
in this industry right now. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, it's hot when the speculators are selling the variant covers for like $50, $60. So
I think the poor retailers had to too. I mean, with some of the whatever, if you have to order like 100 of this to get the one. Yeah. I think the 3D one, the Raphael Grassetti one, the one that looks like it's from Gears of War. I think that was like you had to order like 100 copies to get one, and the guy Wonderland Comics in Putnam. I think he's, he was having to sell that for a pretty high price to kind of like balance it out. So anyway, I got to make a late dinner, and let me go do that before my wife starves. All right.
All right.
All
So
right.
yes. All right. Yeah. Next time, Axel's Inferno #1. Thank
Awesome.
you, sir. Anything you want to
Awesome.
promote before we jump off here?
Nope. If you haven't read Black Armor yet, go to your stores, and if you can find that last copy still on the shelf, pull it off the shelf so the shelves are empty, or talk to your local comic store before Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Talk to your local comic store about ordering the trade so you can be in on the fun when it comes out on May 7th.
Oh yeah, it's on Amazon already. You can pre-order on Amazon.
Yeah. But you go to your local comic shop first.
Yes,
so you
comic shops.
support your local comic shop.
Yes.
And then if they're gonna not order it for you or treat you poorly or say, good for you, little man, then then you can order from Amazon.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Have a great night. Thank you so much.
Guys, you take care. Be well. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.